Okay, so I thought we'd approach the blues a little bit differently this week. So instead of just using the standard blues scales I've talked about loads of times in other videos, I thought we'd have a go at using the Mixolydian mode to play over the changes. And the other thing we're going to do is as well as using Mixolydian, we're going to change the Mixolydian mode that we're using, the Mixolydian key that we're using as we're playing through over the top of the different chords. So the first thing you need to know, have a basic understanding of, is what is the Mixolydian mode. If this is the first time you encountered it, then you might want to check one of my other videos out where I go into it in much more detail. So I'm going to assume that you've got some understanding of what it is before we start. Okay, so the first thing to do is to find a backing track. And I did a quick hunt online and I found one by a smaller channel called Frank's Jam Tracks. And he's released one under Creative Commons license, which means that I can share it on here. So I'll share a link to the original video down in the description. Please go and check his channel out and subscribe if you want to as well. He's got a whole load of jam tracks on there, so it's worth checking out. But specifically what we're looking for is a jam track that uses 7th chords. So in this case, it's using E7, A7 and B7. Okay, so let's zoom in on the guitar and we'll talk about how we're going to be playing over the top of these. Okay, so a good way of approaching this is to just pick a region on the neck, just work around one particular section of the neck. So I'm just sort of focusing on this, you know, this 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th fret kind of region. And then first look for your chords. So we're playing E, A and B. It's an E blues, so it would be an E major just there, or an E7th, which is this bar C shape, yeah? Or you can see up on the 7th fret, you've got that bar A shape as well, yeah? And then next to it, you've got the bar A, which is the E7 shape up on the 5th fret. Yeah, so that's my A7 chord. And then my B7 shape, I could slide that up 2 frets to the 7th fret, or I can use the bar G shape just there on the 4th fret. Okay, so that gives me my chord tones over the 3 chords that I'm playing. And then I'll look for the scales that I'm going to use as well. So over the E, I'm playing E Mixolydian, and I know that looks like this. So there's my E Mixolydian shape that I'm going to be working with. And one thing is useful to know is just make a note of the number of sharps or flats. It's going to be useful a little bit later on. I'll show you a trick that we can do. But that's my E7 and then A, my A7, so I'm using A Mixolydian. There we go. So that's my A Mixolydian, and for this one, for the A Mixolydian, we've got 2 sharps in this key. So we're going from 3 sharps to 2 sharps when we change from E Mixolydian to A Mixolydian, and then we've got B Mixolydian. And that gives me my 3rd shape as well. Okay, so earlier on I was emphasizing the keys, the number of sharps, and actually the number of flats that you find in each one of the keys that we're going to be using. And what's interesting is how the key changes change the shapes on the neck. Now, if you've ever heard of the circle of fifths, it's a way of seeing how keys vary, how the number of sharps and flats vary between different keys. But you can actually put the positions on the neck in a kind of a circle of fifths as well, which is what I've done on a PDF that I'll attach to this video as well. And this is really useful because you can use that to figure out how a particular position is going to change when you change the key. So in our case, for example, we're moving from E7 to A7, and that's changing the number of sharps from 3 down to 2. So if you know what position you're in when you're playing over the E7, you just move 1 step anti-clockwise, and that gives you the shape that you need when you're playing over the A7th chord as well. So it's a really useful way of knowing where you are and what position you need to change to. And similarly, if you're playing over E and you're moving to B, you know that E7 has got 3 sharps, and you know that B7 has got 4 sharps, so you know to move 1 step clockwise. And that works with every position going up and down the neck. So this is a really useful way of just being able to play anywhere on the neck and be able to play through changes anywhere on the neck as well. So check that out. All right, let's have a look in detail about how I play over each one of these chords. So if you have a look at the changes in a little bit more detail, you can see that there's my E Mixolydian. And the thing to look at when you're going from E to A is what's going on with the third of the E chord and how that flattens to become the 7th of the A chord and then back to the 3rd again for the E chord. And so that's something that I can outline and kind of emphasize as the chord changes, yeah? And obviously I can do it on the other octave as well. Or going from E to B, for example, I can see the same thing here, the 7th of the E chord sharpens to become the 3rd of the B chord. So I'm looking for these movements, you know, B to A, for example. I know that 2 of the notes get flattened when I go from B to the A, and then back to the E. Okay, so that's it. Have fun with it. Like I say, don't forget to check out Frank's jam tracks, his channel, and like I say, I'll put a link in the description. If this is the first time you've encountered the Mixolydian mode, then feel free to check out my other video. The PDF that I've referred to is linked in the description down below as well, so help yourself to that. Have fun with it, and we'll chat next week. Goodbye.